does indeed have something prepared a little bit different compared to game number 1. Looks like some of the bans already having gone down on both sides.
5 seconds. Hurry, hurry.
Shadow Fiend and Phantom Lancer, not your most typical bans. Well, the Shadow Fiend, but Phantom Lancer in the first ban phase, slightly surprising to me.
Depends. I think they've recently picked up PL very early as well, and it's a comfort hero for Hao. He has still performed also in the last game. It was not his downfall at all.
But maybe it was a little bit too greedy. Like I think we expected a completely different role. We expected Bristleback to be that one role.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would have been greedy if they had been able to maintain some semblance of map control.
It was primarily the lockdown that needed as well.
Yeah, again, I mean, that seems to be the core, the bottom line we always return to once we start thinking about different aspects in game number 1. The Queen of Pain's still going down for Evil Geniuses here in game 2. Worked out really well for them in game 1, and again, we mentioned it in the first game's picks. It's pretty versatile. Still go anywhere.
I was mentioning in the previous series already, where FI, I just think he needs a hero where he can make more plays on. Like Io is a hero that, yes,
I mean, Wisp and Bountier, I agree with what you're saying in principle, but Wisp and Bounty are his 2 most played heroes in this patch, and they're 2 of the 3 most picked heroes by Vici Gaming.
But you're saying that exactly in this patch, and Vici hasn't been as successful in this patch as they have been.
Maybe that's why.
For the 16 months leading up to that.
We're talking about Ice coming into the summit saying things like, I had no idea how bad some of the other teams were. No, I mean, Vici Gaming, they've been good in this patch, but they haven't been nearly as dominant as we saw them before that.
Yeah. All right. And going back to my point, there might be maybe FY just needs a bit more of a playmaker.
So who do you pick for?
Sand King
would be the very obvious.
That's how they won ESL 1 New York, was Sand King Skywrath combo over and over again.
Oh, I don't know that Black Invoker played a role. But yeah, no, the FY Sand King is just godly.
No, we'll see if they're able to secure that for themselves. So while they're still going to go with the Wisp, and then the Tiny coming in for VG.
But Winter Wyvern is still in the pool. I think if you're going to go Tiny Wisp, Winter Wyvern hurts that combo so badly.
Have VG played Winter Wyvern?
Right, that's the big question.
Unfortunately, the internet is out on this laptop.
I'm pretty sure they use it against Secret in the best of 3 in Dota Pit.
Now,
yes, they did. They ran a Winter Wyvern and Naga combo.
All right, well, they've played it before. It's good here, but is it that good that you secure it now, or you wait to see if it gets through the next set of bans?
I would take it now. I would absolutely take it now. I mean, a week ago when I checked it, Winter Wyvern was like 14-5 against the Tiny Wisp. He is the counter to this combo. But again, it's a universe clockwork. I mean, he's been so dominant on that hero. He's dictated entire games.
I would say he's somewhere on the board of disrupting Tiny from hitting. I do agree that Winter Wyvern is one of those heroes that Tiny just benefits from the pure hits in the late game, especially. Like if he can't hit targets, Winter Wyvern just counters his entire role in the late game.
All right, we already had a couple more bans coming in. EG still going with the same set of bans going forward, and then Vici now with that Enigma ban.
Yeah, the Brood ban I think is really good. Ice is just excellent on that hero.
Thinking about other Wisp counters, we haven't really seen that many. Winter Wyvern is probably one of the biggest ones. Quap or Mag.
I mean, Disruptor is a very obvious one. That's
that's the other one that's still in the
pool. They don't play it that much.
Statistically, it's not nearly as good as the Winter Wyvern, though.
Yeah, well, you know, we've seen, compared to the first match, too, what's interesting to me, obviously, probably it's the matchup. EG and VG both taking a lot more time, right? They're making use pretty much of maximum time in both series, or both games of the series so far. And Kai, I mean, as the person who's probably latest been in this scenario, what's going through your minds, or in your case, what do you think is going through the minds, especially on VG Gaming, where they have to show up with something different to take this game?
I would say as experienced as they are, it's a new beginning where they should not be tilting too much. I do not assume so. They just go into this draft. It's just it's a BO3, so you get another chance.
Right.
And therefore you should just start at 0. That would be the best mindset, to just know that you can win no matter what. And I do not think that they're in that big of a struggle.
So still just try to play on your own terms rather than worrying too much about what happened in game number 1.
I would disagree. I think they need to control their jungle a lot more, and that's really what happened in game number 1, just absolutely zero control.
Yeah, that's the single biggest adjustment I think they need to make. I still like putting Super on one of his 2 comfort heroes, the Dragon Knight or the Invoker.
But that also comes down to the specific pick Klinks. Klinks is just one of those heroes that he invades your jungle. That's just what the hero does.
Right.
I mean, even as a playstyle, though, I think they could have just kind of walked up into there. And some teams do like the 4 or 5 man in the opponent's jungle. And when you're as reliant on a Wisp and a Tiny getting farmed.
But they didn't have. That's the point, though. They didn't have to 4 or 5 man the jungle at almost any point. It was Fear controlling the jungle by himself. And I like this. This is another one of the heroes that Super's very good on. And basically, Vici is going to try to pressure EG by having the superior laning phase.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard for the Queen of Pain to lane up against the Viper, and Queen doesn't, even in the later stages of the game, Queen of Pain doesn't really offer anything up against the Viper. On the other hand, Viper, of course, rarely can ever finish off the Queen of Pain either, just because of Blink and zero lockdown on the Viper. But even then, I feel like this is a very strong pick. They might be lacking behind in the early game, kind of 5-on-5 scenarios, but they're so very tanky already. Viper in itself as an agility carry, it's very tanky.
I do think though, Vici really has to watch out that they're not lacking again the disable.
Exactly.
Right now they only have Tiny. Even Tiny is not a great disable.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of a similar development here, and EG may just take advantage of that. And again, I mean, we were praising the draft coming out from EG in the first game too, just how they panned it out, how they left everything open until that last pick to really secure countering the playstyle of EG Gaming. We'll see if the same pans out here. Looks like it might so far.
I like the bench coming out from both sides.
Yes.
The Broodmother, obviously, and then the Beastmaster. It's a big disable. It adds attack speed to your Tiny. It's just generally a good hero for Ice to take up in this current pick scenario. And it's good against Queen of Pain as well, because you need that long disable against her. And then on the other hand, the Enigma, obviously, against the relocate and everything. But then even more importantly, and something so very simple as paralyzing casks from the Witch Doctor, once you TP in with Wisp and Tiny, there is nothing worse than a Witch Doctor.
I really am surprised that hero was left in the pool. I mean, it's just such a great counter to the Tiny and Wisp. I was also wondering if EG has run the Razor a couple times, and that's a hero that you pick to neutralize the laning.
Oh, that's true. We saw the ban in the first game coming out from VG, but we haven't seen it yet. Of course, they still have an opportunity. We'll see. I mean, most likely, maybe EG will leave it until that last set of picks to see if it's even going to be open. But as you guys have been mentioning, I mean, you see the good bans coming out from VG, but Winter Wyvern still available gets picked up.
Yeah, there's your answer to the disable coming out of VG Gaming, the Lion.
It's also important to have a lot of magic damage so you can finish someone off with Cold Embrace. I remember the other game they really didn't have anything for Cold Embrace in the VP Alliance series.
Yeah. No, that is actually the one thing that early on, when Winter Wyvern was first being experimented with, Alliance ran it, and Aki was a little bit less than judicious with his Cold Embraces against the Tiny combo. That can still kill you.
I still don't understand why they let the Winter Wyvern through though.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, I was going to say that I do think I understand why Vici does it. I just feel like that they might... Enigma on Dire side is very strong, and our plays a really good Enigma. It's very strong against IO Relocate as well. And you run also in the scenario, if you don't have a BKB disable, Enigma is just really strong.
I think this also ties down to the fact that in the later game, Witch Doctor does a lot more damage than the Winter Wyvern does. And Clockwork being disruptive and sort of removing or evening out the fight and everything, and then Witch Doctor puts down that Death Ward. If he has a Scepter going, then that's actually one of the best ways they can take down those heavy hitters in Tiny and Viper.
This draft from EG is so sick.
And the thing is, you were mentioning how Winter Wyvern doesn't offer you that damage. The Visage is a really good addition here for its side.
Exactly.
There you go. It gives you all the damage that you need.
I mean, when you're looking for raw damage output coming out from one of your supports, there's really not too many better than Visage. And then when you add in the fact that when you have a reliable AoE disable, he actually becomes a disabler as well with the familiar drops. And I actually really don't like the Phoenix pick here, and they're going to go with the Clinks again.
Yeah, the Clinks comes out again.
I think this is an outdraft by AG. I really do.
Do you think Fear's going to go for a Orchid this game? I could see an early Orchid being very, very good.
I think Orchid is such an all-in play. I do not like it on Klinks too much.
If you want to pick off the Lion or even the Phoenix,
I think you had it earlier, Deso, man. That Deso.
Well, I mean, that's what we saw in the first game. It worked out really well. From what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, I don't really know if EG really needs to change anything, especially with the Klinks. Did the job, and again, we were talking about, is it really a matter of the Klinks being there or just a playstyle error from Vici Gaming? We'll have to find out as we go into game number 2. All the picks are done. EG versus Vici Gaming, and we'll see if VG can climb back in and make the 1-1. So the casters, please take it away and lead us through game number 2.
Thank you very much. Yes, let's get it underway. EG versus VG, game number 2 of this best of 3 blitz is all on the line for VG Gaming. Have they come here? Did they play their seeded matches, and is this their last game on the main stage in Commerce Bank Arena?
I would like to say it's not, mainly for the fans, because I feel like this series especially deserves to go to the full 3 games, and I really like VG Gaming's lineup this game around. I feel like this is a much more balanced lineup than they had previously. They've got a lot more disables, which I've harped on VG Gaming so many times. Like, I feel like they always lack disables. But this game, this is a game they took Lion, they took the Tiny Wisp, they've got slows, they've got different ways to catch up. I really feel like this is a much more balanced out VG Gaming draft, but at the same time, yes, you banned the Enigma because it's an AUI hero, but you gave up the Winter Wyvern against the Tiny IO, and we know, we've seen it time and time again, it's the #1 counter.
Because you've got that, and you've actually got both the Flying Rats, because you've got Aoi 2000 playing that role as the Visage. So you've got teamfight control and stability. You know, we don't need a Drogue Ranger aura to make Visage work. VP have proven that time and time again through their games as well. But EG, they've got good initiation. Universe's Clockwork is legendary in the scene. Fear back into his comfort, and the memory, which I'm sure has not left VG Gaming in the last 20 minutes, of Fear's clings of what he did to them during the last part of Game 1. Not to mention Smail back into that Queen of Pain. You change out all the other players, but EG is looking very strong with their lineup. Great counter initiation up against VG Gaming, but you are right, VG, they've got things which allow them to control the tempo of this game.
Yeah, and actually, Ice decides to go for that dive, almost lands it, unable to do so. Sumail picks up the bounty rune. Meanwhile, at that bottom lane, as is typical, the Wisp is going to get the quick bottle off of that bounty rune. But it's going to be a dual lane from EG this game as PPD is rotated over to help Sumail. Maybe he was just blocking for him and he's going to leave him alone again, as he had a lot of success in that last game against the Bristleback IO combination. But I think this game he's actually going to struggle a little bit more, because I feel like the Tiny is a little bit better at harassing, and he's better at, and look at it as Sumail, he's going to have to level up the blink here. He's getting awfully low, in no real danger, and he's got the salve.
It's like he actually waited a little bit longer to take the damage, realizing that FY would come in range of the tier 1 tower, so at least he gets something back, because you're going to pop the salve anyway. Now how? Well, you got that Ice Burn really hitting Tiny back, and the Wisp, well, he's not in the position to fight. They knew it. He backed up to, actually, the timing of EG is actually just brilliant, where you realize the Wisp will be backing up to stack for Hal, so you initiate in and you try and pull him back as quick as you possibly can.
Absolutely true, and PPD knows that he can't really get pressured in this mid lane as Hal's only level 1. There is a time, Toby, where he has to be a little bit worried about the combination, but just a level 1 toss and a level 1 avalanche isn't enough to pressure, and EG, again, with a quick start in this mid lane, is the Tiny has less CS than the Queen of Pain does, and that's not what you want to see, but up at top, Fear is zoning out that Phoenix by himself.
Yeah, and how is Ice even meant to play this lane? Like, you got Aoi 2000 doing all the pull work. Fierce is able to take a lot of CS, and his harassment damage into Ice is really good with the searing arrows. So how are you meant to play this if you're Ice?
You really can't. And something I really want to highlight, I think a large portion of the reason why they took this Clinks again, if you just quickly look through the armor of the respective heroes on VG Gaming, Ice has 0 on Phoenix, there's 0 on the Tiny, there's 0 continuing that trend, like, as team.
Universe, a little bit of trouble for him. He's got to try and run away so he can use his cogs offensively to get himself away from FY as well as Fenrir, who keep the chase going. There's a haste through on the Lion, and Universe getting back in range of the tower, and there's a defensive cogs. Fenrir is sitting on the edge, but he still tries to give it a go, but can't finish the job. The salve will bring Universe back up to full life.
Yeah, and a good attempt just to try to force Universe out, and they move him all the way around. Good attempt by VG Gaming to go for that kill, and it does waste a little bit of time, but they're perfectly okay with that because Super continues to free farm, and like I was saying, 4 combined armor on the side of VG Gaming. If Fear decides to go for the Desolator again, I don't understand how anybody's going to be able to survive.
Samael, until FY arrived, he might have considered, well, not blinking up and going for it, but at least walking close enough for an extra scream chip.
And House pretty low. He's actually getting zoned out. And once again, I mean, I didn't expect this at all, Toby, for this tiny IO lane to do so poorly.
It shouldn't happen, but then you have to remember, you're playing with a Winter Wyvern on EG's lineup, so when you think you've got this, you kind of don't. Like, you're going to get embraced, you're going to get burned, and you're going to be alone for a bit. Like, it's not like the old lane where, well, there was some stacks, okay, also FY, that doesn't help when he missed tethers, so he can't give Hal the life required to stay on the front lines. Yes, he has to wait an extra 5 seconds now until he can put Hal back on the front lines. That's actually a bit of a blow, because you're going to be missing CS, and Samal can control the creep wave up a lot better. But it's just the fact, too, that like FY wants to leave to do the sacking, so you can flash farm the Tiny, and Samal and PPD, they're reading the timing right and they're capitalizing on those moments.
Yeah, you're completely right. That's actually something I didn't even realize is, yeah, it's completely true. Every single time that FY has to leave to go to do the stack, Hal's just running into so many issues, and they're doing the buddy system up to this top rune, and EG might even contest for this, but Ice has to be here. FY should get this in short order. I don't think Sumail will go for it. Doesn't even have a bottle with him, and he's going to blink back up. The bottle's coming for him, but this lane isn't looking any better for the Radiant, as it just continues to kind of snowball in the direction of the Queen of Pain and the Winter Wyvern.
Well, it might get better soon. You just got an Invis rune picked up here for Fenrir, so the chance of him actually finding an opening on EG is quite high, because there was no observer word watching what rune it was that spawned on bottom, who took it, or which direction they were going to head to. So there is a chance with that level 2 Lion that they could have a crack.
Yeah, and they popped the Wisp.
Oh, there's your avalanche.
And here we go.
No, Fenrir was just a little bit too far away. Even with the Invisor, he could have been closer to just follow up instantly into the Hex to stop that blink away.
I think he was worried that there might be a sentry in this area, and so he was like, okay, I'll stand up here. But even then, I think it's worth the risk, because you have to assume that if they're dual laning mid, they're probably not going to have a sentry. Like, they might have an obs ward, because they anticipate it, but probably not much more than that. So I think a little bit of a misplay by Vici. But I'm not even sure if they get the kill on Sumail. Like, he's got a stick, PPG's there with the Cold Embrace. Instead of going for that Splinter Blast, he decides to go for the more defensive option.
That stick also only just flew in with the boots for Samal. So how is Hal meant to actually play this mid lane? If you're getting harassed out by Samal, if PPD is being a real nuisance, what do you do? Just wait for the flash farm, make sure you don't die, use what he's doing right now, which is like avalanching to farm? Like, is this sustainable for the Tiny in the long run?
It's not great, but it's not terrible, because the Tiny will catch up, Toby. Like you said, you pointed out, they do have a decent amount of stacks available for him in the jungle, so he does have some comeback potential, but he does need to get levels to be able to clear them in the first place, and Fenrir's in this lane. He's going to get spotted out by PPD. Is there a blink forward from Sumail? Yes, there is.
Yeah, he's going to try and chase down Fenrir. He's got blink again on in 10 seconds. It's a long time away, and the avalanche will buy the space. There's no reason for Samal to chase it, because by doing this little engagement, he secures the top rune. And even Universe is coming down to try and stop Hal from grabbing that bottom rune. It will be an illusion. So as I think it was, who was it, Capo U that actually said it's the most useless rune in Dota 2.
No, it is for the IO. So you just get two little ball thingies that don't really do too much. Like, it's not intimidating is the thing. It's like you roll up with 3 Rockmen, then maybe people get a little bit scared, but 3 Tinies.
Well, you want to get scared? You're about to get scared. Find something to embrace as FY being initiated on Fear. Perfect rotation. Now toss him back, but he's still got the extra damage to go into Tiny. It's going to be enough. No, it's not, but Ice all from the front lines. Fear, he's going to find himself a secondary one. The dive forward Sumail burning so low, they need to keep him up. The stick charges will allow him to do so. He's dropping, but there it is for Fear. A double kill for him. And it's a triple over all of it for EG. 3-0. What a first blood and what a great follow-up.
And what kind of rotation was that by Fear? Like, there's no way that anybody from Vichy Gaming knew that was coming.
But you can't predict it either. Like, what's missing on the top lane? Aoi's up there farming, but you're used to that kind of stuff. Last time he did that, Fear could have just popped into the jungle.
Exactly, and I think that's what Vichy thought was happening. They don't have a ward. Of course they can in that side of the map. And Fear, with that beautiful rotation coming in, snipes all of those heroes, and all of a sudden we've got a 3-0 lead for EG. And once again, Vichy Gaming, they needed to get more out of the laning phase than this. Is EG, they can just go back to that split push style that they were so successful with.
And they can even just go again. Ice cannot stand on this lane. It's actually one of the sadder things for him that he's just being hunted by Invis units, so he's never 100% certain when he can get free. And unfortunately for him too, the Icarus dive doesn't really save him, because
right now.
They're going to try and bait him into this one. And where is this dive? Aoi 2000 can basically solo up this Phoenix, and Phoenix just comes in, pops in 2 extra attacks. So they bring down Ice. It goes 4-0. But the point I was about to get to is look at Universe's level. He's 5.5 on this Clockwork, even getting a bounty rune to help him on his way. You're looking at a Clockwork who's about to be able to have initiating power, and a Phoenix who's level 3 and can't even stand anywhere near the Phoenix, the Quap, the Wyvern, the Visage.
You're just
That's it. Everyone. He actually can't move forward at all. And there's no secondary option from just to move back and farm. It's not like a Darkseer where you can Iron Shell through some stacks.
No, I completely agree. And they're finally going to do the stack, but a lot of that net worth is going to go on the way of the IO. And you're not even worried of super free farming in this bottom lane because it's only a Viper. And you've got more mobile options on the side of EG.
Speaking of bottom,
this is a rotation.
Yeah, Fenrir is not going to be too happy about this. That burn's going to slow him down enough. The Fear can just basically pummel him down. One arrow. He does get the Hex off the PPD. Will then allow him to get the last hit. Embrace up Universe. In comes Phoenix, but Universe needs to get out of here. A TP away to safety will allow it to happen. And Super again. These searing arrows from Fear are doing so much work. The South from Super will allow him to survive a little longer, and Fear's going to go down. Try to jump to end this. Viper does get the kill before death. So he gets another Samael. Well, now Phoenix won't be reborn for another 17 seconds. Queen of Pain though, no way out of here. 2-1 charges. He's right next to FY. Well, then again, he has an Invis rune, so maybe there is a way out. 7-1. Klink's the only one to die so far for EG.
So many rotations from evil geniuses right now, and I don't actually think that Vici know how to deal with this aggression because they're everywhere. How many times do you see Fear at 8 minutes into a game go to that mid lane, go to that bottom lane, and create so much space? These aren't rotations, Toby, that typically happen, but he's making them work as his team is always there with the follow-up. Yep. Even Sumail coming down to be able to help get the kill on Ice, and there's no breathing room right now for Vici Gaming, and they have to try to establish some tempo for themselves, but all they're getting into is fights that aren't efficient. Like if Ice were getting levels out of this, you'd say, okay, sure, that's probably okay, but it's not like they're really getting anything out of these ganks.
Even the supports, again, we're back in a position where the supports of VG Gaming have been crushed. It's a level 3 Lion, but if you look at EG supports, Wyvern's gone up to 6.5, so you actually already have the old Devalver. Mid lane, Super, looking low. Sumail's have enough to finish the job, but at the same time, he's got a regeneration room. He's time to blink himself away. The toss down, Sumail will go down. Finally, VG Gaming gets something, but they lost to Phoenix for it in the meantime, and they might be able to pick up Fear as well, but nope, he will run away Invis.
Yeah, and finally some rebuttal kills from Vici that didn't really cost him anything.
Universe, where's that hook? It's only level 1. It's not long enough. He potentially could have hook shot it into a double kill, but he might still do it.
It looks like he wants to go for this mid lane. The relocate is up, but he's going to go on the IO.
Yeah, and he's that battery sword, but no mana. He's actually short. He couldn't get the battery assault off. He was short by 8 mana on that hook shot in. So there was no extra control, and now they throw it in Ice. The TP out. Where is your Avalanche? Where's anything? They don't have it. Universe will TP back and survive.
Yeah, and Fear's back in this mid lane again, and Vici Gaming look like they want to continue to get into fights, but they're not gaining ground here as Ice still doesn't have that crucial level 6. He doesn't have that egg up, and meanwhile PPD, this is the guy that you typically see play that 8 position role on his team, but he's already level 6 at 11 minutes into the game, and he has been for quite some time.
I talk about position roles. Look at Visage. He actually just spent 14, he's got his point booster 11 minutes in with a full medallion and boots, and he's level 8. So you got 4 points up in the Soul Assumption. You've already got max level nuke coming in from the Visage. That is death to a Wisp. Even if he's considering a level 1 relocate in, he's probably going to die.
What do you mean death to a Wisp? That's death to everybody right now on the side of VG Gaming.
I'm limiting it down. I'm sorry. Have an open mind. Fenrir, Sumail jumps in with a scream. They find the kill. The rockets are on the way in. Might make him think the Clockwork's right behind him. Sumail tossed up. He still has his regeneration room, but he can't get it off. FY gets the kill, but how? He just goes down. Fear's doing all the work. FY's got no other choice but to die. Right in between the towers, and even Ice. Locked in position. Cogs pushback. He'll dive up, and the attacks follow. It's a triple kill to Fear. While Visage might be taking all the farm on top, Fear still keeps himself as the number 1 position for EG, going 6-1-5, 12 minutes into this game.
And this is what EG wanted to do last game with the Klinks. Constantly rotate Fear, but he's done it so much earlier this game. From 6 minutes on, Fear hasn't even been at any position to farm. He just leaves that alone to AUI, who's going to pick up such a quick Aghanim Scepter, and even PPD is going to have a decent amount of farm and levels this game. It's all just come down to EG's cores are constantly rotating and saving whatever they can out of the ganks, and up at top, they are going to make the move for AUI, but can we even take him down with the amount of farm he has?
Resummon with Familiars, the damage into Ice is huge when Sumail comes in both the DD rune and that Sonic Wave. They're still going to lose Aoi. There's the Whispers on top, but how? Survival chance? Our question, Sumail. Regeneration room on Fears killing off Lion all the way down the bottom lane. How will be able to survive?
PPD coming around for this, but I don't actually think this is going to mean anything. He probably just wanted to see what HP How would be at, but even more rotations happen around the map as the Lion goes down at the same time. And I mean, I don't even want to look, but Fenrir, again, only level 3 at 13 minutes into the game.
Even his net worth only just above 1,000. I'm not saying that he's like it's, oh my god, like EG's so far in front of him because PPD's still sitting at 1,400, but PPD's got level 8. That's the big difference. There's so much more to play around with this Winter Wyvern.
How often do we see this support duo shut out like they happened in the last 2 games?
Nowhere near this level. Nowhere near this level. But this is what you look for from EG. This is what we're all looking for from EG during the first matches, but they just played it as it was, and then coming for the main event, and they've really just hit their stride. They're on the mark as far as rotations. They're always there in the right places. When EG's hit this mark, you do not want to face them at all. And this game, big difference, Blitz. 14-minute Desolator now is up for the Clinks.
That's 7 minutes faster than we saw last game, and we saw what 7 minutes later still did to the supports. Poor Fenrir with 1 armor. FY is in the same boat, as is the tiny Ice, not even level 6 yet. And Fear is just going to be an absolute menaces. They have to back up as forward to their tower at 15 minutes into the game. Complete map control from EG.
It's going to get worse too. Like the Desolator, we're talking about the effect on the heroes, but remember the effect you're going to have when you push down buildings. That negative armor is still going to be kicking in, and the tier 1 tower stays unnumbered. It's 18 points away from deny range, and you can guarantee yourself Aui's about to basically get even more money by throwing the familiars down there. Last hit, it goes to the Visage, and that brings him up to a grand total of 1,300 on top of his point boost of 15 minutes in. We're looking at like an 18-minute Agadim Scepter, fully completed, as in flowing out as well for this Visage.
Yeah, and if you even compare his farm to the carry of Vici Gaming right now, the Tiny still doesn't even have his Aghanim's, and he's going straight for it right now. He only has the one to back himself up, and Tranquil Boots are completed at the same time on AUI. He's just got so much farm, and it may sound like we're talking up EG so much, but I mean, what is there to say is they're just playing so well.
They're so far ahead. Like it's not the bias kind of factor when you look at this. This is just the reality that EG have such control. Now PPD gonna iceberg himself over the tree lines, and then VG Gaming they lose vision, and even with the shards flying out, Fenrir controlled Sumail out with a Sonic Wave. At least he was able to survive through this, but Ice into the tree, tries his TP out. He will be successful. Yes, he will be. The Soul Assumption will try and TP down. Tier 1. Oh no! There's a Soul Assumption will actually kill him before he can regenerate. Hook shot in now. The control up how FY giving whatever heal he can. Howie will die in the tree line. And EG, they've actually lost 2 players in this one. Universe at 15. The toss will make it down to 3 players. 0 life, but Fear remaining unstoppable, taking out the bottom lane. He actually killed off the Wisp who was down here for some reason and took the tier 2 tower. I don't want to say even trade up to VG Gaming had the best fight they've had so far. And but actually, it feels like it.
That was probably as good as it was going to get. Is 16 minutes into the game. I feel like I'm just listing numbers, but you have to talk about it as Ice still doesn't have his level 6, and in an uncharacteristic mechanical error, he actually TP'd to that tier 1. So the nuke shouldn't have followed him, or it should have, but he should have been able to heal, but it actually just rebounded, hit him at the tier 1 tower. He went down, but VG Gaming with their first real fight of the game, take down 3 and the tower, and finally they're getting a little bit of traction now.
It's like Ice considered the fact that if he went back to the tier 1 tower, if he was able to find level 6, then he can re-enter in Nova, and that's a very different kettle of fish. But, well, he got served.
I think he just misclicked straight up.
That's it?
Yeah, because there's no way that he was going to hit level 6 off of that. Like, he knew the nuke was flying in.
You misclick a double tap.
I think it had to be one or the other, but not something that you typically see from Ice in Universe. He isn't having the best game ever, but 0-1-7, he's got his Blade Mail, and he's still doing so much better than the Phoenix, and look how far Fear is pushed forward.
It's crazy, man. He's looking for an opening, and all he found was a Viper. If he found anybody else, he would have just killed them straight away. Even the Tiny. Sure, he's got 5 armor now, but you've got Desolator, so why do you care?
He's almost got that BKB, and we saw what damage that did last game. They do have the Tiny Toss that can go through it, and the Phoenix Egg, but those still aren't ideal options. to have to deal with it. And Sumail's about to pick up an Orchid of his own, and so the effectiveness of a lot of these heroes is going to drop down.
And this time we get the Orchid as opposed to going into the Aghanim Scepter. Whoop, Fenrir triggers the dust, felt the Fear was in close, and they're right behind him. Ice goes inside the pit, and well, that's exactly where Fear wants to join him. Attacks in, Ice has to dive away, but that attack still follows him. 185 life he'll survive on. And a gank failed there by VG Gaming. And they're about to also lose their top tower.
Yeah, right now, AUI almost has that Aghanim Scepter, and once he has that 3-bird combination is just going to make things even harder for supports. And I feel like that's EG's game plan. Just try to hamper the supports' progress as much as possible, slow them down, just make it tough for at least one of them to be able to get levels or farm. And this game again, it's Fenrir who doesn't really have anything. 4 levels at 19 minutes into the game, nowhere near a Blink Dagger, and he absolutely needs it because he's one of 3 disables that his team has.
Can Fear actually do this solo? I don't know if he can actually do this solo.
I think people are going to help rotate in. Like, AUI's coming in with the Medallion, and with the Medallion and the Desolator damage, it should be enough.
Negative 10 armor on Roche. That's rough. And PPD and Universe are just around the corner, so even if they try and counter-initiate him, it's not going to work. And there it is, Aegis the Immortal, 19 minutes in, is already into the hands of this Clinks, who's rapidly approaching his BKB. Blink, Orchid, Ice, dead in the middle with a Sonic Wave combined from Sumail. That just looked way too easy.
Not even giving him any sort of chance to get out or use the egg or anything like that. EG continuing to find pickoffs around the map, but you can't ever discount a Tiny IO. Like, we've seen it time and time again, be able to pull off ridiculous upsets. He does have the Aghanim Scepter and the Hyperstone, so if you're a Vici Gaming fan, you can't count them out just yet, but they can't keep getting picked off like this.
Yep. They basically have to be able to control up their farm areas, allow for even the Tiny to farm up the Ancients. That might be one other path back out from it, but look where your vision is for the Radiant side. You've got 2 Observer Wards up on this top lane. And then you've got one inside the Radiant jungle, which can see the movement of Fear, and another one in front of Roshan. The Roshan one ended up being completely useless because Fear just walked himself in under the cover of his own Ghost Walk. Yeah. So, and by the time Maui arrived, it was too late for VG Gaming to do anything about it.
Things just get more and more difficult for Vici Gaming as they're resorted to not even being able to 5-man, and I think that was the plan. If you look at Vici Gaming's lineup, they've got the Viper, who's got a mech, and that's typically an item you'll see when you want to get into a fight, but the thought is, how's going to be the initiated on?
Yeah, Universe tried to jump on him straight away, Fear not enough damage, but Fenrir so low with just one attack in from that Clinks. They have to get rid of this egg, and they're going to, but can they? Yeah, they can! There goes Ice. The Aegis Immortal will pop. They did lose Universe at the same time, so he's going to clean this fight for them. Fear able to run himself far enough away from that avalanche that Hal, all he can do is just toss that up. One swing, almost got the ding over on Sumail. Glimmer Cape survival from Hal, runs away, but saw something to the way to relocate! What did he hit?
Oh, I don't actually think he was able to get him.
I don't think he got the tether in time, but he definitely relocated back to base, and the save will fail. Fenrir, Fear is carving him up. EG, this is not the loss you want, and that fight comes back to fight unwillingly, maybe with a scream. Yep, he's going to pop from the Orchid. Fear the Avalanche will throw him up, and finally they get a big one. That's a huge one. That's a lot of money in from Hal. They needed something like that.
894 gold going the way of Hal, and that's the hero that you wanted to be able to do it. But the problem right now, Toby, is that kind of just resets his gold, as he was forced to buy back to stop that bloodletting as EG continue to find kills around the map.
He just blinked Sonic Waved Orchid and the Viper, and he went from about 2/3 of his life to 0. That hurts.
Man, Vici Gaming, I mean, they're just being chased at their tier 2. It's not even like EG are playing for objectives anymore. They're just playing to break their spirits. They're just fighting around this area of the map. They don't really care what's happening. They're like, we're just going to play for the kills right now and try to break you down inside out. And
it's a huge message.
Successful.
Man, the message has been sent. It's been delivered by Owls. And even coming into the coming into TI, which is coming up shortly, EG, this is the type of game that you want to be able to play just so if anyone's like, you're a little bit shaky. It's like, no, this is what we're capable of. You better give us respect every single game.
Yeah, Vici Gaming, I mean, I would have pegged them as one of the top 6 teams in the world along with EG, but in this best of 3 alone, the difference is startling as EG really seem to be on form right now, and Vici Gaming just doing their best to be able to stop this onslaught, but the top tower is going to be the next goal as AUI just continues to split push apart from the rest of his team, but they don't even need to be as 5 anymore.
Sumail can get this last hit. He's going to have his Aghanim Scepter up and running. There's now, well, Hal getting just awkward. Feeling like he should be pushed back, and rightly so. Universe's position for the hook shot is perfect. And Hao is very much exposed, so the avalanche comes in. Fear from behind. Oh, this is going to be a point where you lose so many players. Hook shot in. Splits the fight up. Ice even forced back in Fear. And the protection of BKB. Trying to rip it past through him, but he realizes just kill up Ice. It's one big egg. This is looking to be cracked. Hao on the run down. Scream the Orcas on him. He'll go down too. It's a double kill for Samal and Fear. The embrace will save him. Samal right behind another blinking. A triple kill for this Queen of Pain, about to become an ultra killer that can reach super in time. Universe is there, and it's a kill for Universe. It is 5 heroes wiped off the face of the earth for VG Gaming. An evil genius making it look so easy.
PPD with that cold embrace just does such a good job of keeping his team alive. EG completing that pincer move as Fear comes in from behind with Universe, leaving VG with no options but to turn and fight, but there was no fighting to be there as a 5-man wipe for absolutely nothing, and 2 towers go the way of EG. And more, I mean, this game just looks like it's getting out of control. A 15k net worth lead, the same in experience, and I don't know what VG's comeback mechanic is because they don't have enough towers to go for the split push with a tiny IO combination anymore.
Man, economically, this is the Great Depression of VG. There's just nothing more they can do. Queen of Pain, he just takes out IO while Lion dies straight away in the mid. They're just keeping the numbers going the way of EG, and now the new items which also arrived. You've got Solar Crest, you've got Blade Mails, you've got actually the death of Ice. The dive just not disjoint the attack, and Clinks just lets it fly through. He's got 2,000 gold. After Samal bought the Aghanim Scepter, he instantly had 1,700. And that was 30 seconds ago, and now he's at 2.6k.
It honestly just feels like there's nowhere that VG can be on this map anymore where EG won't hunt and find them. You're at the mid lane, well, both of your mid heroes are going to die. You're at the bottom lane, right next to a tower, Fear's going to 4-shot you. And right now, VG Gaming losing the hold, whatever hold they had on this game at all, it's slipping away as 9-32 is the score for EG, averaging more than a kill a minute right now, Toby. How often do we see that in competitive Dota between 2 tier 1 teams?
Not very often, not with such a gap, and how I don't think you really want to be up here, man. That's familiar control. 1, 2, and 3, while Fear just pummels you apart with arrows that are on fire.
Look at that control between the 2 teammates. Like, he's ready with the birds. The aerial attack is there. Fear just needs half a second to be able to bring him down. And in this mid lane even,
FY Samal, he's got a haste route. He can actually jump up Orchid and Sonic Wave and get the kills, but there's no reason to risk. Okay, there's every reason to risk yourself. Goes up and Fear, Ice is dead. I think it's over, Blitz. They're being completely torn apart, crushed off it, and GG. Not even 26 minutes into this game. Evil geniuses not only 3-0 out VG Gaming, they crushed them.
I don't even think this was an early GG call. If anything, it might have been a little bit too late as EG just completely demoralized VG Gaming, walking away with such a dominant 2-0 effort.
Well, there goes one of your Chinese teams. I know I've always been saying ESL 1 was the competition which the Chinese have always won. It was VG Gaming, the defending champions from New York. In Victor's game, the next team that's up next, they were the defending champions for Frankfurt, but there's only one of them remaining, Evil Geniuses. What a commanding performance.